Hey guys, Jordan here with Christora, and I'm really excited to share this interview with you guys. I've been following Christora in her Facebook group, seeing her ring the bells. I remember seeing one where recently, not too long ago, just in a few days, you got like 9,700 in sales. You recently closed about a $3,500 wedding, I believe. And we're gonna take a deep dive. I could tell when I was following you that you just understood a lot of the nurturing aspect, and you've been getting a lot of results from that. So Christora, let's dive in. So now, where was your business, I guess, before joining the Wedding Lead Machine Accelerator? What has changed now, and what are some results that you've been getting as well?
Sure. So I've been doing wedding photography for about 3 years. We have been very fortunate to be lucky enough to do 20 to 30 weddings a year, just right from starting out. So I love it. I absolutely love wedding photography. I hate the price shoppers. It drives me crazy. I always value myself more than what they do. And so they're like, well, I don't understand why you can't give me a discount. What do you mean? I'm providing you with all of these amazing services, and I don't know what you're talking about. We do timeline meetings together. I'm basically a planner along with being your photographer.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a family. There's so many more things that go into photography than people even realize. And so I was sick and tired of hey, can you send me your pricing? Hey, can I find out more about how much it will cost for you to come on this day? Hey, can I cut down on the pricing in some way this way? Because I knew what I was offering was more valuable than what people were paying for.
Yeah.
So with the Wedding Lead Machine Accelerator, last year in January and February, we booked maybe $4,000 worth of weddings. And right now I'm at 21,000.
There we go.
Yeah.
There we go. That's awesome. And so, you know, I've been following your group, and you've been leading a lot of these prospects now to your Facebook group to really build your brand. And now, you know, you have over 150 newly engaged couples following you there in just about 90 days. I think you only joined about 90 days ago. And so I guess
less than that.
Yeah. What was that?
I think it's less than that.
Yeah, less than that. Even better. Yeah. And so I guess, what has been the best way for you to grow that community?
Sure. So when I actually go for an engagement session with one of the winners, or if somebody reaches out to me and says, hey, I'm not ready to book quite yet, especially when I do the scarcity emails to the different brides, I don't have a venue, we don't have a date yet. I just send them right to that Facebook group to let them know that, hey, this is what other brides are actually active on here as well. So you can ask a question, you can answer some of the polls. There are different brides on there who I contacted them beforehand and asked them if they would be quote unquote experts for me. So that way, right. And so that way, when I post something, I have a lot more engagement.
Yeah.
So people see the responses from the various past participants that have actually worked with me before. They have a sense of, hey, this is one person's opinion, but this other opinion also exists. For example, like veil versus no veil, what should you or shouldn't you use? So some people believe that a veil is, you know, bridal and necessary, and other people don't. But it's great for them to be able to see that conversation happening from other brides and not just from me.
I love that.
It builds credit for me.
Exactly.
It builds like face street value, I guess you would say, to have these different people engaging with the questions that I'm asking.
Yeah, I love that as well, because one, you know, say if you are really busy, like just the fact that they're engaged with that, it kind of gets a little bit of work off of your shoulders as well. And two, it's like that social proofing right there as well. Not only are they building that engagement, but they're basically just a testimonial. When anyone asks deeper questions and stuff, you'll always get that reference from them as well. That's awesome. Love that.
Yeah. Okay, great.
And so also as well, I've been following your group, and as soon as I started seeing you do your posts and everything, I could tell that you just got it. As far as like the nurturing and everything, how important has the nurturing aspect, how important the nurturing aspect of the funnel is. So tell us about your experience using the Facebook group to nurture leads and really build a brand. What are some tips that you have for the students to quickly grow their groups, build engagement, and build that brand, to really build a brand that prospects can trust?
Sure. So, well, first of all, the nurturing really started for me with building the email series.
Hmm.
So I had never blogged before. I had never thought that it was even remotely important. So
Yeah.
creating and going through and actually figuring out what I felt like you said in the different modules, figuring out what my brides were afraid of
Yeah.
versus what they actually need to hear from someone to feel confident on that day was something that I really took a deep dive into. And then I experimented with my December free engagement session and my January free engagement session with changing around that nurturing content,
Mm.
the order that I delivered it in. So I wanted to see if people were more engaged in a specific order of events versus, flipping the switch on them the second time around. And I found a different way to submit that information. So for example, I start with an email series about what questions you should ask your photographer and what answers you should be looking for.
Hmm.
Well, of course, those are the answers that I'm going to give, to somebody if they were to ask those questions. But that's what I want. I want a bride who's going to ask those questions and expect that kind of answer.
Yeah.
Then secondly, I was sending out information about wedding day timeline planning. But what I did was I changed it up so that in the second time that I sent it out, it was all based on engagement posing, what to wear for your engagement sessions. Then I went in and I actually did a scarcity email.
Yeah.
And in January, the January session, I had 3 brides who contacted me directly who were not winners of my free engagement session. All 3 of them booked. So just amazing results with that. So I'm going to keep it that way for this next round when I do another one in April.
Yeah.
It's great. So anyway, so moving on to the Facebook group.
Oh, yeah.
What I decided to do was use something called Hootsuite. Have you ever heard of
Yes.
Hootsuite before? It's amazing. So I go in every Sunday and I spend about 2 hours going through and actually scheduling my posts for the week. So I schedule all of my Instagram posts, all of the information there. I maybe leave 1 or 2 days blank so that it allows me to fill it in if I have an engagement shoot, if I want to post something, about how great my husband is to work with, like I did recently. But then I'm also able to go in and schedule on my group page. And so the way that I work it is I just came up with a system for myself where it was Vendor Tuesdays, featured information Wednesdays, cakes, heels, different rings, things of that sort. And then I always have a poll or a question that I ask of some sort to get people engaged at least once throughout the week.
Yeah.
So that way it's 3 times during the week that people are seeing that information, but it's not constantly asking them to physically engage with it, but they're still remaining engaged once a week.
Exactly. No, I love that as well. And one thing that I was kind of thinking about is a lot of students are always wondering, like, okay, now I kind of get how to work with like the winners, but like how do I work with the non-winners? And it's all about building people who are actually raving fans of your brand.
Right.
And
Absolutely.
that's the only way. It's kind of like, if you have a specific brand of jeans that you like or something, and you're going to like it. And if you can get them to get to know you, maybe that's through articles or video, get engaged. That engagement is important because they're actually interacting with you. They start to build this like digital relationship with you at that moment, and
Right.
that's the only way, guys, to get those non-winners to work with you. And that's the only way to get those call to actions where you're building scarcity. No one's going to care about them if they don't care about you, if they don't actually like you and your brand. But once you can break that gap and they actually like you, they're excited about your posts, they've been engaging with you, that's when the call to actions actually work. But love that.
Well, and I also have to say, Haniel has been incredible because I went through and I created all of this content, and then I looked at my website and I realized that didn't actually match with what I was putting out there on Facebook, what I was putting out there on Instagram, and I needed to actually maintain a consistency in my brand.
Yes.
So I had him redo my entire website, and
It's beautiful.
It's amazing. It's amazing. What he did actually represents me for the first time ever online. I never could have created it myself.
That's awesome.
I could have worked on this thing for 2 years, and it never would have looked the way that he made it look in 3 days. It was insane.
Yes.
So I can't give him enough accolades. He is incredible. If anybody needs any kind of branding, he's amazing.
So if you guys haven't seen Haniel sing yet, he's pretty active in the group, but really awesome web designer. And so definitely reach out to him. He creates some awesome websites for you guys. And so one thing I kind of wanted to go back on as well, when it came to blogging, that's the topic. When it came to blogging, and I remember feeling that way as well. It's like, why am I blogging and no one's actually even seeing it? But it's a total different thing when you actually have that lead flow, consistent lead flow, people finding out about your business every month. Then boom, that's when it really makes sense. And I guess that's when I kind of clicked for you. Now blogging makes sense. 50, 100 couples finding out about my business every single month, and now they're actually seeing that type of content and everything.
Right, absolutely. So I had an engagement shoot yesterday, and people, they walked in and it was like they knew me.
Yes.
I mean, they 100% knew who I was, the brand that I represented. At one point, the girl was changing in the restroom and she came outside and I was like, give us a twirl, because her outfit was really cute. And her husband or fiance said, she trusts you already. And I was like,
that's awesome.
So, and it's because of that nurturing content. The nurturing content isn't there to necessarily convert somebody immediately, but it's a trust building.
Yes. How long did you feel it took for you to start to feel that happening? To
feel the trust in my brand building? I would say for me, it took about a month, but I put in so much work to this initially. I was working maybe 6 to 8 hours every night on top of working a 40 hour a week job.
Yeah.
So, and it was just, I would sit down and just go. So, and at times I would scrap everything that I had done because it wasn't speaking to the brand that I wanted to build.
Yeah.
So it's important to go back and actually reflect on what you're creating to make sure that it's not just, oh, hey, the knot says this. You have to really believe what you're putting out there, because if you don't believe it and then somebody gets in front of you as an engaged couple, it's going to be really hard for them to trust you if you're not actually utilizing what you've nurtured them with.
So true. And that reminds me of experiences. So my nurturing content would always very specifically be about posing. And I do these engagement sessions, and couples would literally come like, yeah, we got your emails right here, right now. Or as we're walking, we're going through the tips.
Of course.
And it really excited people. And that's kind of one thing, that's kind of how I niched myself as well. I knew I couldn't relate with maybe some of the brides, maybe that, like say maybe like the mom photographers sometimes could, and the way they were able to talk the topics they could. And so I was like, how am I going to relate with these like couples in a different way? And for me, I just specifically made it with posing, and 95% of the time, like the couples that would work with me would very much specifically just be because of that content right there.
Right. Absolutely.
And so now you've been doing a really great job, not just, building your brand, but also closing weddings through the album viewings as well. So just kind of dive in. Tell us about your personal experience with that and some things you've learned to increase your conversions as well.
Sure. So I struggled with this initially because I went straight script. So in the month of December, I maybe had 3 or 4 different people contact me out, and I went straight script, and it just wasn't me, if that makes any sense. So
it felt robotic, I guess.
What?
It felt
the robotic.
Maybe, yes.
Right. It just felt like, okay, now I'm saying something, but I should be saying it in a more fluid, conversational manner than what is right there. And I had to learn, and I learned the hard way. I lost 3 of the 4 clients. But anyway, I learned how to change around the script flow. So instead of saying something, like, oh shoot, see, now I don't even remember how you put it. Instead of saying something like, I really feel like I create the best work with people who go quickly on deciding.
Oh yeah, so the incentive-based pricing part.
That whole portion.
Change the wording of it.
The wording of it just felt it just didn't feel like me.
Yes.
So I was more of, I really love you guys. I've really enjoyed every interaction that we've had. Because of that, I want to offer you guys $1,000 off if you're able to book within the next 48 hours. But that for me flowed a lot better.
I like that.
People, for other people, it's going to have to be something where you practice with it. Because if you don't practice with it and you just sit down and you try and do the script, you're going to bomb.
Yes.
Like, you're just going to bomb because you have to know the ins and outs and the flow. And also every album viewing doesn't go that exact way.
Exactly. You have to improvise through it.
Exactly.
And all of that as well. And I relate with that really well, because when I was first learning like sales, it was the same exact thing. I would learn a specific script, and I was literally just like a robot, like going through it. Even if the prospect went a different direction, I would still try to force it in this certain direction,
Right.
and it just didn't work. And the couple would be like, "What is this guy doing? He's not even listening." You know what I mean?
Another thing that I had to learn was I needed to actually speak the same way that my nurturing content was talking to the client. So maintaining that same brand throughout is really key to conversion as well, because if I were to walk in and say something that just sounds nothing like what they've read, nothing like what they've seen from an engagement session, nothing like what any of our other phone calls have been, like how do you trust that person at that point? So that was one way that I really had to learn how to do that. But now, if I get in front of somebody, it's almost always hey, we want to book you.
Yes.
The other thing that I learned was with Tom. So coming up with the payment plans, if you don't use HoneyBook, get on HoneyBook and immediately you can send questionnaires. They have email formats. Contracts are right there, but there's also the payment plans. And that is huge for people to have a payment plan instead of just 2 payments.
Exactly.
So a wedding is extremely expensive for most people. And so being able to split up those payments into 6 payments or 4 payments or 8 payments, it's going to make a difference because it's not a huge chunk of money right down at the beginning. And HoneyBook lets them just put a credit card on file, and it just charges them whenever the due date is due, which it's just leave it and then it's all set. It's kind of great.
Very true. And that's one thing that I've often done. So usually, especially when an album viewing, I'll try my best to close it at 50% just for cash flow. And if it doesn't work, so if they say something like, I need to think about it, I usually take that as like, okay, this is a little bit, so it's like, so I'll kind of be like, okay, so let's talk about that a little then. Do you like what you see? Is it more of a finance thing? Get them to be honest about its finances. As soon as you can get them to be honest about it, you can help them. So how can we make this work for you? If I was able to split this up into a plan, lower deposit, find out a way to finance it credit or something, would that be helpful, kind of thing? And so for you guys listening, having trouble with the album viewing, one, like she said, learn to make it work for you. I honestly, every time you do the album viewing, it doesn't have to be word for word. Go through the process, and it may change.
And read your clientele.
Yes.
So, like you have to get really good at actually seeing their body language and seeing what they're responding to and what they're pulling away from.
Yes.
It's not just listening to what they say, but we're able to have these video conversations with them, and you can see if they're engaged or if they're not engaged. I've called somebody out before and been like, are you just not interested? Just let me know if you're not. And they're like, oh, no, my dog is over here and it's chewing you. And I was like, oh, okay, well, that's great, but I can see what you're doing.
Exactly.
If you're actually looking, if you're not looking, everything like that.
That's so key too, because it's almost, sometimes when I'm albuming, I almost think of it as like a video game almost. Like, is this a level easy, level medium, level hard? How is this?
Right.
Where's this person pulling back? And you can rework and improvise how you handle things in that way and all of that. But I love that.
Thanks.
And so Christora, and I guess now what's next for you? What's your goal, within this year, within the next 5 years?
Sure. So this year we already had quite a few weddings booked. So with the Wedding Machine Lead Accelerator, I've actually been able to hire an associate photographer.
Let's go.
Yes, I love it. And so he is taking on some of those double booked days. So that way our business is able to grow.
Awesome.
He gets a percentage of the profit from it, but my business is still actually increasing. So the goal this year will probably be 35, 40 weddings for the year. And then goal in the next 5 years, I'm a teacher by trade, but my husband and I, again, we were talking recently, and we were both saying that if we continue on this path, where we're training associates, photographers, we're able to increase our interns,
awesome.
things of that sort, then we're just going to quit teaching. Both of us will just
Let's
stop
go.
teaching. So I think that'll be the goal. We love to travel, so we're out of the country at least 3 times a year.
Yeah.
So destination weddings will be another one that we're going to start to target a little bit
Exciting.
more, probably in about a year or 2.
Perfect. And so now, what's one piece of advice that you have for the students in the program as well?
I would say you can't go into this thinking that it's a silver spoon, because while it is, you also have so much back end work that you need to do, not only to create the content, but to look really deeply at who you are as a photographer, the clients that you want, what your brand is, who you want to attract to that brand. And also, I'm not afraid now to say no to a client that I don't think is going to work for me. So if I don't think that you're going to be part of this whole brand that I am, we're not going to work well together. So because you've seen all of this content before, and just because you want pretty pictures doesn't mean, if you're not willing to give me 2 hours of time for portrait sessions and bridal party shots, and you want everything done in 15 minutes, that's not who I am as a photographer. So we're not going to work well together. So, but I really think that you have to put in the work on the front end, really look internally at who you are, and then also to put out the content that relates well to you.
So the strategies will only go as far as the entrepreneur willing to push it.
Absolutely. I can't state this enough, but if you're not willing to work, you're not going to be successful with it. And also if you're not willing to fail with it a little bit. So, no, seriously.
It's true.
I always say, you should never look at a failure as the end. It's just a diversion to where you're supposed to go.
That's true. You really need to, and just in business in general, you really need to build a good relationship with failure.
Yes, I agree.
You really do. And almost at a point, honestly, it sounds crazy, but almost to a point where you get excited about it, because now you get that it's the more you fail, the more you're going to be able to push things even faster and make those revisions and everything. Right.
Awesome. And I think that people get stuck so often because they're like, okay, well, where do I go next?
Yes.
We'll go somewhere. Just go somewhere. And it might not be the right path, but you'll figure out if it's the right path or not, because you'll either hit a brick, you'll hit a wall, and then it will send you in a different direction, or it's the right way to go.
Exactly.
So stopping is just not the answer.
Love that. And where can we find you as well?
Sure. So on Instagram, I am Green Apple Photo KY. And then on Facebook, it's Green Apple Photography. And there is a Green Apple Photography Weddings group page. So if you want any inspiration for polling or, stuff to post about vendors, different things of that sort, feel free to follow.
Awesome. Yeah, highly recommend following that as well. And thank you so much, Christora. So much great value for the students. Excited to share everyone this.
Thank you so much, Jordan.
No problem.
Well, if I say something that somebody has a different opinion on, or something that's going to direct them the wrong way, you just don't want to do that.
Exactly.
But at the same time, I can only speak to what I've experienced with it.
Yeah.
So, and what I want from it, because some people have different things.
I think that's what a lot of students have trouble with. One, they get robotic with it, and two, they're very needy when they get into it. And when you go into a sales meeting needy, you feel that that energy.
And people can sense that even through video chat. Somebody can sense if you're needy. One of my associate photographers, which is so cool that I had to hire an associate. I so appreciate you for that. It's so great. But we were riding over to an engagement shoot yesterday, and he was like, I thought I had this wedding in April, and when I didn't book it, I was just devastated. And I said, well, but you didn't get this one, but that just gives you an opportunity for something else that's probably better suited to your skill set. And he was like, I've never thought about it that way.
Yes.
You can't look at, it's their loss, but at the same time, it might have been just the exact thing that you didn't want to be a part of.
That is so true. And sometimes just that energy of them seeing that you're fine with not working with them makes them want it more. I've had that happen where they're on the fence. I'm like, honestly, if it's not a good fit, that's 100% okay. But honestly, if you know that this is the right fit for you and this is the photography that you want, it'll be an absolute game changer for you. And they're like, okay.
But that's the thing is, I mean, you really do. So the couple yesterday that I went and took engagement pictures for, they did not tell me that they had a photographer already booked.
Yeah.
Well, after the session, so I sent them their preview, and she contacted me and she said, I'm in the process of trying to get my deposit back from the photographer that we booked. We want to go with you. And it's like, that's awesome. But if I don't have you as on my schedule, it's nothing off my back.
Yeah.
You know, like, hey, cool. If you can make it work, awesome. If you can't make it work, that's fine too, because there will be somebody else.
True.
So there are 4,000, 5,000 people in my area alone that get married in a year. There are 52 weekends.
There's so many couples. When you run these ads, you realize how many couples there are out there. It's like,
right.
There's a lot of options, as long as you're willing to build a brand with it.
Yes. Well, and again, it was funny. So again, my husband and I sat down with the questions that you sent.
Yeah.
And
is he here as well?
He's here as well. Yeah. Chris, come over.
Hey man, how are you?
Doing good. Great to meet you.
So we were discussing. Oh shoot, I lost my train of thought.
We were talking questions.
Oh, we were talking about the questions beforehand.
We ran through them real quick.
And it's like, it's been totally. Honestly, if you're not willing to sacrifice in order to build the business, like you're not going to get anywhere with it.
That's so true.
But he said
she asked, like, how many hours do you think I work a week? And I said, I mean, it used to be probably 50 to 60 with all the weddings and meetings and stuff like that. She decreased the amount that she goes out for weddings now for meetings because of your program. And then on top of that, she's also, like, with all this Haniel stuff and the redesign of the website, she's been working, I feel like it's like 100 hours a week.
Which is fine.
Yeah.
Like right now it's a lot, but she's put in the work now, and now she's like reaping all this harvest. And she doesn't realize like how hard she's been working for 2 straight months. Yeah. Now she's like, I don't know what I'm going to do. Like, this is all coming in so fast. I'm like,
yeah. It's crazy, like especially new entrepreneurs. They don't understand like that concept of that compound effect of like what actually happens. You know what I mean?
You invest in yourself, and you reap the gains when you don't even realize.
Exactly.
So it really, like, I took this entire thing, and I love you so much. He's not a great businessman. And so it was like, I had to convince him, hey, look, we need to pay somebody to rebrand the website. And he was like, no, I can do it. And I was like, all right, can you do it in 3 days? And he was like, no. And I was like, great, we're paying somebody.
Haniel's fast.
It's more valuable than yelling at you about not getting it done.
Yeah, and I'm happy with what he did. What he
awesome. Love it.
So.
But perfect. And yeah, love the results you guys are getting. Thank you guys for taking the time to chat as well, and excited to get this up. Let me know, keep me updated, definitely.
I will. Is it okay that I don't ring the bell I feel like braggy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, whenever you want to.
Okay, all right. Maybe when I book like a $7,000 package, I'll ring that one. But it's like I rang the bell that one time, and I was like, I do not want to continue to do this, because it just seems, because some of the people on there are negative.
Yeah,
like,
and that's true. And what's really great is it helps build the positive community. And because there's some people that they're really negative. Some people that it's just that pattern that they can't get out of getting out of that negative mindset, and it kills the business.
It has to.
It definitely does.
That negativity permeates everything.
Yes.
It really, their relationships, their work life, it permeates everything. So
true.
If you can't see what negativity is doing to your life, like, you better get yourself right.
Yes. So true.
Because each success should be celebrated way more than every failure.
It's true, and that's the thing. It really manifests. It manifests more failures. If you can't get it out of that circle, it just builds more of those actions that build more failures. And you can't see it, but it really does. It's powerful what the mind does.
It is. Yeah, it really is.
Definitely.
So thank you so much. This was great. And seriously, I am so glad that we bought into your program. It really has changed everything for us, even talking
Yeah.
future.
Yeah.
So,
Awesome.
I mean,
Really cool.
he was like, maybe you'll leave maybe you'll leave teaching, you know, like in a year or so. But now, this was the first time today that I heard him say, you know, we both could leave education and just do this full time.
Let's go.
You know, let's just travel the world and photograph weddings along the way.
That's so awesome. I love that. I love that. Yeah, thank you guys so much. Definitely keep me updated through the process, and we'll talk soon.